Well, you cannot win them all. The Mariners drop the finale of their three-game series with the Atlanta Braves, 5-2. The Mariners do still win the series, and I am going to break down this afternoon's game for you guys. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners post-game recap. I know I do it all the time, but I've got to thank you guys again for all the support. Another almost 50 subscribers yesterday. Never in my wildest dreams did I think me talking for 15 minutes about a Mariners game could get 2,000 views. But both my last post game recaps have gotten well over 2,000 views. So thank you to all the new subscribers. Keep hitting that like button. Subscribing, liking, free, easy ways to help my channel. Thank you guys so much. I forgot to plug it last time, but don't forget to use that promo code. Download the SeatGeek app. Go to their website. If you're going to T-Mobile, not this week, but next week when the A's are in town, or any concerts, events, or anything like that, use promo code JS Trident. It'll save you $20 off your next purchase. And it's not just for Seattle. Maybe you're a Mariners fan in Houston. You're going to the games this weekend. Use that promo code. You can use it in Houston or Minnesota. It works. So go ahead and use that and enjoy. Want to talk about one thing real quick before we get into the game. News dropped this morning that Microsoft Vice Chair and President Brad Smith and his wife, Kathy Sarace Smith, I'm probably not saying that correct, have purchased a stake in the Mariners ownership group. Don't know what that means. I mean, I know what that means, but don't know necessarily what that means in terms of, are they just small investors and they want to go, hey, we have a little stake in the Mariners, aren't we cool? Or is this something that they're big time investors? And who knows, maybe it's something that can open up the checkbooks a little bit next year. Not going to speculate. There's people that could break that down a lot better than me, but some interesting news, couple new people in the Mariners ownership group here. We'll see if there are people that are, in this long haul and they're going to be investing big into the Mariners, or they're the type of people that are going to, send a proxy at the shareholders meeting. Sends his own proxies, if for any Office fans get the reference there. But let's go ahead and get into the game. The Mariners dropped this one today, 5-2 to the Atlanta Braves. Listen, if we just want to talk big picture here, you took 2 out of 3 from Atlanta. You take 2 out of 3 from Arizona and Texas, and you go 6-3 over a really tough 9-game stretch. I cannot be mad big picture right now. Rangers lose today. Astros lose today. You're still in first place. Yes, I'm looking at standings on May 1st. Should I be? No, but I haven't had a lot of first places in the last 20 years, so I'm looking at it when the Mariners are there. Don't fight me on that. So from that perspective, this was going to be a tough one. Chris Sale has been really, really good this year. And how about the bounce back Chris Sale has had? He was a guy that, myself, some other people are probably not close to writing off, to be honest. Kind of like this guy's probably done. And he's touching 96, 97 this year. The rich get richer with the Atlanta Braves getting Chris Sale back to his all-star form. And he got some help today behind the plate from the umps. Not that Chris Sale needs any help, but it was not a very good strike zone in this game this afternoon. But yeah, big picture wise, I can't be upset right now. Did this game have some frustrating things? Yeah, we'll talk about Mitch Haniger's defense a little bit in right field today. We'll talk about the fact that the Mariners stacked base runners like crazy and couldn't get that big hit. That's frustrating. This game, again, in a vacuum. Yeah, every loss is frustrating in a vacuum. But taking a step back, I can't sit here and be like up in arms that they didn't sweep the Atlanta Braves, who, in my opinion, I know I've said it, you won't have to hear it anymore, but I think are the best team in baseball. Now, it's not going to get easier. You've got to go to Houston this weekend. And while they aren't playing great baseball, they're still dangerous. And they're still capable, and look like maybe they're hitting their stride a little bit. Then you play a Minnesota Twins team that's on a 10-game winning streak. So it's not going to get easier. The schedule's still tough. You do get the A's after that, but even the A's are actually playing some pretty decent ball. Now I think they're going to drop off, but don't trail the A's after 8 innings. That's all I'm going to say, because you guys have not seen Mason Miller yet. Holy cow. He's running a negative FIP, if that gives you any idea of how good he's been today. Let's go ahead and dive into this one. Like I said, Mariners lose 5-2. Listen, they actually had some base runners and had some chances in this game. They get behind early, and we're going to talk about that. Well, let's start with the pitching, then we'll get into some of the base running stuff. Emerson Hancock, 3 2/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 1 earned, 4 walk, 4 Ks. Kind of a weird start because Mitch Haniger had a rough defensive inning in the 4th inning. The Braves scored 4. Haniger drops a pop-up. He had to run in a little bit for it. It wasn't just right to him, but certainly a catch that Mitch Haniger should make 100 out of 100 times. And then he took a pretty poor route on the Austin Riley triple that led to a bunch of runs. Rough inning defensively for Mitch Haniger. He owned up to it in the postgame. So that makes it tough, but I also don't think Emerson Hancock was all that great tonight or this afternoon. Listen, this is a great lineup. I can't be too harsh on someone that struggles against it. Truthfully, the Castillo and Miller start, it spoils you a little bit. You see them dominate and they make it look easy. You forget how great this lineup is. And if Mitch Haniger makes those plays, Emerson Hancock gets through 4 innings, or maybe even goes 5, gives up a run, I'd sign up for that any day of the week. It wasn't the results or anything that I thought wasn't great. The command wasn't really there for Hancock. Did paint some corners, got some strikeouts. He looked good at times. He showed flashes. I don't think he was necessarily awful or anything today. I just don't think he was all that great either. Despite, even if Haniger makes those plays, yes, I'll sign up for Hancock going 4, 5 innings, giving up a run against the Braves, but not all outings where you only give up 1 run or created are equal. Bryce Miller was lights out on Monday night. Luis Castillo was lights out yesterday. Miller gives up a run, Castillo doesn't. Hancock was okay. He was probably good enough to get through this game, and take away that if Haniger makes those plays, he would have given his team a chance to win. So, from your 5th starter, you'll take that. But just in terms of what I saw from Hancock, I thought he was okay. I'd give it a C minus outing. Like I said, I wasn't overly impressed. I don't think he was awful. I think the error skews it because I think people are going to go, well, he would have only given up the 1 run. It would have been a great outing. Yes, in terms of just results, it would have been fine. I just don't think he looked all that great getting the results necessarily. Now, I don't think he was nearly as bad as the 5 runs. I know they weren't earned, as that would show. Yes, he was let down by the defense there. So it's one of those that goes both ways. He was definitely let down. It should have been a better outing, but I also wasn't blown away by what he showed today. And it's Brian Woo's rotation spot. I like what I've seen from Emerson Hancock. He's looked better this year, in my opinion, than he did in his brief stints last year. But there is zero doubt in my mind that Brian Woo is the number 5 starter, and that's his rotation spot. And Hancock's held down the fort nicely, but if Woo's ready to go, and we don't know. Listen, I think Hancock's done a good enough job that if they want to give Woo one more rehab start or something like that and give Emerson Hancock one more start in the bigs, I'm totally fine with that. But it's Brian Woo's job. No, I do not want to see a 6-man rotation. I know plenty of other content creators have talked about why. It just takes away starts from Gilbert, Kirby, and Castillo. And, listen, if you're in the dog days of summer and you want to maybe do that once where you skip them for a start to rest them up, then fine. If you're in September and you've got a 6.5 game lead or something, with 2 weeks to go and you want to do it to limit their starts, fine. But right now, no, you cannot be taking starts away from Kirby, Gilbert, or Castillo, especially not for Emerson Hancock. He hasn't been good enough where I'm giving up some of their starts to get more of his. Now, with that said, I think Hancock's, shown himself to be a very capable, perfect number 6 starter for this team. And he's going to get more starts because, Bryce Miller could have some fatigue and stuff. They maybe in the dog days of summer, they decide, hey, we're going to give him a couple weeks or something off just to rest him. Hancock can fill in. Someone gets hurt. It's inevitable. You're not going to get the same starting 5 all season. Someone's going to have to miss a couple starts. Hopefully it's something serious, but someone will. And you can bring Emerson Hancock up for that. And he's certainly shown that the Mariners do have some rotation depth. Do I think Hancock's great? No. But I think as your 6th starter, you could sure as heck do a lot worse. He's got good stuff. He's touching 96, 97. It's part of it's just this rotation is so loaded that there's no space for that. There's a lot of teams that would be Emerson Hancock be their top prospect that they're rolling out. They're going, whoa, look at this guy, and being excited for us. There's so much depth or so much, electricity from the starting five that maybe we don't appreciate Hancock as much. But, no, I think that, it's Wu spot, 5-man rotation, and we'll see Hancock again. And like I said, he maybe makes another start. I'm not saying he's already out. They may really ease Wu back into this. And Hancock's been good enough where I think it's okay. The bullpen was fantastic today. The bullpen walks 1 and strikes out 3 over, let's see, 2 1/3, 3 1/3, over 4 1/3. Fantastic job by this bullpen today. Trent Thornton goes an inning and a third, gives up a hit, no runs. Tyson Miller, 2 innings with a walk and 2 strikeouts. Nice job by Tyson Miller. Saucedo, a shutout inning, and Austin Voth, a shutout inning. This bullpen gave this offense a chance to claw back into it. And they almost did. They almost did. They were down 5-0 after the fourth, and they had multiple chances. They had the bases loaded in an inning. Now, I will say I did not get to go back and watch the whole game. I was listening on the radio during work and then went back and watched the condensed game. So I may have missed a couple things. So if there's something I didn't throw out there, let me know in the comments down below. But they had the bases loaded in an inning. They had the tying run up, I think, in the 7th. And then the 9th, first 2 guys reach with nobody out. And again, it's kind of a theme for this team. And yes, the strike zone was terrible. The home plate umpire was a mess. The Mariners dugout was barking at him. They were told to shut up. A little surprised Scott didn't go out there and get tossed. I mean, I don't put a ton of stock into those things, but man, if there was a day to get tossed, I will say the Mariners been on like a 4-game losing streak. He probably would have. I think that's part of it too with managers. Their frustration builds up. And right now, there's just not a lot to be frustrated about. Yet, yes, the offense needs to be better, but just the overall picture for the Mariners, not a lot to be frustrated about. So I don't think there was quite that anger that maybe you would see if this team was on like a 3 or 4-game losing streak. But yeah, home plate umpire was terrible. And listen, as I said yesterday with the Braves getting the infield hits, they don't need any help. They're good enough. So, you couple that with how good Chris Sale has been, and it's going to be a long afternoon. Truthfully, they got Sale out of there after 5, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, no walks, 9 Ks for Sale. Now, I will say, as the Mariners have done a pretty good job chasing some starting pitchers after 5 innings, part of that's been decent approaches at the plate. Part of that's the strikeouts. I guess the one positive of striking out a lot is you're forcing the starting pitcher or any pitcher to throw at least 3 pitches every at bat. And usually it's more. There's not a ton of 3-pitch strikeouts. So you do run up the pitch count a little bit. They do get Sale out after 5. And like I said, they're getting the base runners, but what have I kind of talked about the last couple of weeks? They're not finishing. Part 1, get on base, drive up the pitcher's pitch count. I guess that's 2 parts to 1 part. That's part 1, 2 parts. And then the next step is you got to drive those runs in and deliver that knockout blow. Now they've had a little bit of that. Mitch Haniger had the grand slam on Friday. Ty France had the 2-run home run Saturday. They did add on a little bit yesterday with the Dylan Moore double. Monday, the Mitch Garver wasn't really adding on. That was needed to win the baseball game. So they've had some moments where they've done it, but for the most part, they're just not completing the process. Now, it's certainly better to stack up the base runners. It's kind of the better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. At least they got the guys on base. And that's something to build off of. And again, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I when I do these for every game, there's going to be repeat points. This was not going to be probably the get right series for this offense. Max Fried, Ronaldo Lopez, and Chris Sale. That's a tough draw. Even if this offense was the best in the league, let's say they had the top WRC plus in the league, this is still what can happen. Look at the Braves, right? Like their offense is ridiculously good. They had a tough time scoring runs because of how good the Mariners pitching is. So not the series that I'm going to really judge the hitters on. It's still frustrating because like today, there was an opportunity to win that game. They were getting the base runners. Someone puts one in the gap. Maybe they do win it. Mitch Haniger doesn't, fields his position a little better. Maybe they win it. So there are definitely frustrating aspects to it. But just in general, this wasn't the series that I expected the offense to break out. Now, I will say in Houston, I think you've got a shot. Now, they can pitch too, but you've got Blanco going. Who is it? Is it game 1? Let me pull this up actually real quick. Blanco game 1. Framber Valdez is back game 2. That'll be tough. And then I think it's going to be Christian Javier in game 3. Now, that's actually not that's a pretty solid pitching rotation too, but I think a little bit better chance to maybe get going in that series. We'll see. We'll see, especially with that short porch out there in left field for the Crawford boxes. Maybe that can get the offense going a little bit. But yeah, listen, like frustrating, yeah, because they had chances to win. Am I super up in arms about it? No, I didn't expect a big breakout, but good to see 10 hits, a couple walks. Better. This was their best offensive game of the series. I know they scored 3 yesterday. And I actually thought even yesterday wasn't terrible. Not great, but I don't think it was terrible. I thought they did an okay job against Ronaldo Lopez. Let's look at the box score here. Julio with 3 hits and a run score, including an extra base hit, his 4th double. Good to see. Hopefully that's the start. I really, really thought when Julio hit that home run in Texas, he was just going to go on this huge hot streak. Didn't. Maybe this is the start of it. Maybe getting to Houston with the Crawford boxes will help with Julio, and he can get a couple home runs that series. Good to see Julio, though, on base 3 times. Listen, with all that said, we're at May 1st. Julio's hitting 270, 638 OPS is a little low, not getting, walks or a ton of slugging. So it's very batting average lifted OPS. It's probably been Julio's best April, though. You know what I mean? Honestly, he had a tough April his rookie year to the point where we're like, is he going to get sent down? What are they going to do here? Last year was a slow April for him, too. Hopefully the turn of the calendar, and it did. It turned today, and Julio 3 for 5. So maybe it's the start of something plus an extra base hit. Good to see. Really rough game for Mitch Haniger, 0 for 5, plus the defensive blunders. It's tough because with J.P. Crawford hurt and Dom Canzone hurt, it's harder to get Mitch Haniger a day off. I'm saying, what does JP have to do with it? Well, Dylan Moore is playing a lot of shortstop, and he's one of your extra outfielders. If Canzone was healthy, you'd probably see more Rayleigh Canzone outfields against righties, and Mitch getting a few more days off. I am for Mitch Haniger having some more days off. 1, to help him stay healthy throughout the year. And 2, he's scuffling a little bit. You might say, well, Jay, why doesn't Julio need to get the day off? Well, Julio's been, younger, healthier. Julio's defense is better. I don't think Haniger's defense is terrible. Actually, if you look at the numbers, it hasn't been that bad over the last few years, but it's looked a little rougher this year. And I'm not saying Haniger shouldn't even, I'm not saying platoon Haniger, but against righties, if you've got a 3-game set where you're facing a lefty and 2 righties, sit him versus one of those righties. If you got a 3-game set where you've got 3 righties, sit him against one of them. Stuff like that where, it's not a platoon, but you're just getting him that occasional day off. But it's tough. It's tough without Canzone and JP. It puts it in a tough spot for Scott Service to do that. So anybody up in arms about it, that's where the injuries play a factor. But I wouldn't, and you got the day off tomorrow now too. We'll see what they do on Fridays. Definitely got to be in there against Valdez on Saturday, but we'll see what they do on Friday. Jorge Polanco, 2 for 5, 2 RBI hits. Nice series for Jorge Polanco. Had the big base hit on Monday. That scored on the Garver home run, had the home run yesterday, and then 2 more hits today. It was a shame because he was one of the guys up in the 9th inning after who reached base in the 9th inning there. Luke Raley walked and Julio got a hit. Thought maybe they get something going against Iglesias there. But then Haniger, Polanco, and Cal, unfortunately couldn't come through. So, but still a nice day for Jorge Polanco. Talked about how he was hot for a while, then cooled off. He's still walking a ton, but a much better series getting hits for Polanco here. Big dumper 0 for 4 with the walk. Tough series for Cal. I talked about this team's going to be streaky offensively. Cal's a streaky guy. He's going to go on tears where he does not make an out, and then he is going to go on tears where he's struggling. You look like, how do these guys get hits? And that's just kind of the way the team's built. Good to see Cal DHing today with the day off tomorrow. I think that was smart. You get him a day off behind the plate, so he gets that defensive day off. So back-to-back days off for him defensively, but you still keep his bat in the lineup. So I thought that was a good job by Scott. Even against the lefty, you'd have Cal DH. Ty France was 2 for 4. Good to see for Ty. I know he had a at-bat as a tying run against Minter. I believe he struck out in that at-bat, so that was a little frustrating, but a couple hits for Ty. Dylan Moore is 1 for 4. Urias 0 for 3. Haggerty 0 for 3. Rojas pinched hit for Haggerty and then went to left field. He was 0 for 1. Sebi Zavala, 2 for 3. We can't blame Sebi Zavala's bat today for being in the lineup. Maybe he didn't call a great game, but he didn't force Mitch Haniger to drop two passes. Two passes. What the heck am I, football? To drop 2 fly ball, or didn't drop 2 of them, but you know what I mean. So good to see. Good for Sebi Zavala. I still think backup catcher is a place this team's going to have to look to improve, especially if you want to make a run. And it might sound crazy, backup catcher, but I've said it. I think missing Tom Murphy last September was a huge factor for this team. There was too many Brian O'Keefe at-bats. That's not Jerry, Scott, or Justin's fault. It was just the way it went with Murphy getting hurt, and then they had to bring Luis Torrens back, and it just wasn't enough. Now, whether that's Blake Hunt, whether that's the Giants fall out of contention, calling them and asking if they want some cash for Tom Murphy, I don't know what it is. But in the meantime, good for Sebi Zavala getting a couple hits. And Luke Raley actually got his first walk of the year, which is good to see in his pinch hit at bat. One more thing I want to talk about. Another thing I saw, kind of a hot topic. Josh Rojas sitting against the lefties. And, my take on that. Listen, the Mariners went into this season with a platoon at third base of Josh Rojas and Luis Urias. And it's worked. Now, Urias hasn't had a ton of at-bats, so he's kind of got a weird slash line because he's had some decent slugging, couple big home runs, not hitting for a ton of average or anything. So he's kind of in that weird phase early in the year where you have just these really odd slash lines because he doesn't have a ton of at-bats. But for the most part, he's held his end of the bargain, and Rojas has certainly held up his. So before we go too much into, Rojas needs to play against lefties, remind you too that one of the reasons Rojas may be having a ton of success is they're not overexposing him to lefties. Now, let me be clear. I think Rojas should get some at-bats against left-handed pitching. I don't know if Chris Sale is the spot I would do it in, to be perfectly honest. But yes, I wouldn't mind seeing Rojas play a little bit more against left-handed pitching. He's been hot enough. And career-wise, his career numbers aren't awful against lefties. He's not incapable of hitting them. So I wouldn't mind seeing him get some more at-bats. But I will say, they've committed to that platoon, which so far has worked out. So you don't want to take Urias out and start playing Rojas strictly against lefties right now. And then where do you play him? Can you put him at short? And, but against lefties, you've got Dylan Moore, and that should be where Dylan Moore's playing with JP Crawford out, is especially against left-handed pitching at shortstop. You could put him at second base, but Polanco's better side is hitting from the right. So, maybe, if Polanco needs a day off, that's fine. He can play the outfield, played left field a little bit today. That might be the best spot to do it. Maybe against a righty, you can against a left, but even there against a lefty, not sitting Julio. That's when Mitch Haniger should absolutely be playing. And then the other spot, maybe Haggerty, maybe instead of Sam Haggerty, let Rojas start against a lefty in the outfield. That's probably what I would do. I would, against Framber Valdez on Saturday, I want to see Josh Rojas, if he can handle the outfield. I don't know what his OAA and his metrics look like as a left fielder in his career. I can't imagine it's terrible. He seems athletic enough that he wouldn't be a disaster out there. I would like to see Rojas play the outfield a little bit. Haggerty is not someone that, yes, he can hit left-handed pitching, but I'm not going to lose sleep over Sam Haggerty not being in a game. Let Rojas play against the left-hander and let it be in the outfield against lefties. I think that's a fair deal. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't take those at-bats away from Urias yet. And listen, I'm not saying you're never playing Haggerty or anything like that, or you always play Rojas against lefties. But if you have a series where you're facing 2 of them, kind of like I said with Haniger, he takes 1 day off against a righty. Same thing with Rojas, just the other way. Let him play 1 game against the lefties. I think it's worth it to see. I think it's worth it to give it a look. He's been good enough that I think he's earned it. That would be my take on that. So Mariners dropped this one 5-2. Would have been great to get the sweep. And again, a little bit better defense and better situational hitting. And I think they could have done it, but they didn't, and Atlanta's really good. And listen, you'd have told me before this 9-game stretch, the Mariners are going 6-3. I would not even have hesitated to take that. I would have taken 5-4. Truthfully, 4-5 would have probably even been okay, not great. You never want to be I'm okay with the game under 500. I don't like that mentality. It's kind of weak. But I mean, it wouldn't have been the worst 9-game stretch ever to go 4-5 against those teams. And the Mariners go 6-3. They win every series. They've won 5 series in a row. And I always say too, in a series like this, where you win the first 2 and you lose the last one, try to look at it like this. Had this been game 1, and then the Mitch Garver walk-off was yesterday, and then today was a Castillo start, would anybody feel any frustration? We'd be on cloud nine. We just took a series from the Braves. How great is this? So I always try to look at it like that, reverse the games in the series, and you'd be fine. Now, it's not how it is. Today's game stunk, but again, I will also go back to this team was not going to go 149-13, especially if they're playing games against the Atlanta Braves. So I will gladly take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta, take that to the bank. The other thing that I liked in this series, I thought the Mariners went toe-to-toe with the Atlanta Braves. I think that's huge. It was not like the Mariners, they won 2 really close games, and today it looked like they were getting blown out, and they lose by 3, but they had the tying run to the plate multiple times. Even that 9th inning there, they've got a shot to get something cooking. So even getting down 5-0 against Chris Sale, they still found a way to battle back and make it a ball game. Their pitching was phenomenal. If Haniger makes a couple catches, they probably maybe sweep the Braves. You never know how the game would have played out. And they held that Braves lineup in check. And honestly, today and yesterday, I thought they had some better at-bats. Not good enough. Not claiming everything's fine, but, better. And against a really good pitching staff. So let's hope some of this momentum carries over to Houston. Houston's been scuffling. They're playing a little better of late. They've won, I think, 4 out of 5, I want to say. Was this a 2-game series they had with Cleveland? Oh, they probably play tomorrow. They probably play Cleveland tomorrow for the finale. So I think they've split with Cleveland. They swept Colorado. So they're playing a little bit better, but still scuffling a bit. So, that I'll have the preview up tomorrow for that series. That could go one of 2 ways. Sometimes I hate playing those teams because they're going to get their wins eventually, but maybe this is also the right time to catch the Astros and get 2 out of 3. So we'll see if the series runs can continue. And you've got Logan and Kirby going games 1 and 2. So you got to feel, or Kirby and then Gilbert. So you got to feel pretty good. And then Bryce Miller, who's been fantastic. I got to start throwing him in that mix more, but you got to feel pretty good about your chances. I'll have the series preview up tomorrow. Once again, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Think about becoming a channel member. We just did a members only live stream this week. We had a contest giveaway. My man DW won. If you're in here, man, I don't know if you sent me the email or not. I'm bad at checking my emails during the workday, so I'll check that this week and I'll get your prize out to you. $4.99 a month. We do 2 live streams a month, one with the giveaway. I did add a little small giveaway to this one. So it's just a cool chance to, hang out, talk some ball. It's a little more personal, so you get that little more like one-on-one interaction. So if you have any more like philosophical type questions, you can get them in. But yeah, think about becoming a member. We'll have a stream up soon. This weekend, obviously, the series with the Astros. And then I will actually, so what we're going to do, me and Mariner Sir, we're going to record our episode Sunday, but it'll be up Monday. So I'll have my post-game recap up Sunday, and then Monday while you're driving to work, having your coffee, you can listen to our takes on, the week that was for the Mariners. And then decent chance Monday, we're going to be doing a live stream for the game with Jake from You Love to See It. That's the plan right now. We still got to work out some logistics. My schedule is always kind of rough, but the plan right now is for the 2 of us to be live on the channel, my channel, maybe his as well. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, go do it. And we'll hopefully be doing the play-by-play for the Monday game against the Twins. I think they play Monday. I should probably check that. That was probably been smart. Have a great night, everybody. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all tomorrow for the series preview against the Astros. Mariners win the series. Tough one today, but overall, first place, 17-14. Got to feel pretty good. Have a great night, everybody, and go Mariners.